Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be discussing possible upcoming evolving weapons. A while back, about 3 months ago, a leak list appeared, an alleged leaked list appeared over on Reddit, and I'm going to be going through it and talking about the more important aspects of it. With the Angels of Zaraman update, we got the evolving weapons. Well, most of them evolve if you don't take into account the Felarx. Not to say that the Felarx is not a fantastic weapon, just simply that one works better in its non-incarnate state. Let's have a look at the actual list and we'll talk more about these weapons and what can they bring to Warframe realistically from a gameplay perspective. What do we got? We got the melees, we got the primaries, and we got the secondaries as well. We got the Braton, the Burston, the Dread. Oh yes, Dread. Latron, Miter, Paris, Soma, Strun, and Torrid. Torrid, oh my god, this is such a blast from the past. I vividly remember playing with all of these except the Torrid. Was it that the one that made like the AoE thing on the ground? We're gonna check it out later. As for secondaries, you got the Bronco, the Despair, Dual, Toxicist, the Furis, the Cool Star, the Kunai. Which Kunai would be more interesting to know? The Leto, the Lex, the Vasto, and the Zylok. Oh my god, an actual use for the Zylok. So let's begin with the Zylok. The Zylok is a secondary weapon that is not really all that hot, all that powerful. Upon release, it was essentially extremely beautiful mastery fodder. After the changes to the damage system and the shift of the meta, the Zylok became less worthless. This is the Zylok. I believe you can obtain it from Battle Kit here, so considering there's an Incarnate adapter on the way, I would definitely pick it up. Now with Incarnon Weapons, I was hoping that we were going to be getting a whole lot more build diversity, and the thing is, while these Incarnon Weapons definitely have a bit more build options, I don't really think you'd have that much of an option if you're the meta type of player. If you want the absolute most amount of damage, most amount of KPS, DPS, etc., there's gonna always essentially be a way to calculate that. But if you're not really after the extra 1% worth of damage, you are going to be able to build these weapons slightly differently, especially when it comes to the usability aspect. A whole lot of us realized a long time ago that usability counts more in actual gameplay than 2% extra damage or something of the sort. Being consistently able to hit your target in the right spot, right time, etc., yada yada, will matter a whole lot more in the long run than just a little bit more crit, a little bit more damage, etc. Braton. I love the Braton. Honestly, the Braton is the standard assault rifle experience in Warframe, and I always say that if you're coming from a more traditional style FPS, let's say you guys coming for Counter-Strike or something of the sort, the Braton is the weapon you want to get used to Warframe. Warframe has a lot, and I mean a lot, of kooky, cool, gimmicky, quirky, spacey, futuristic weapons. Something quite literally out of this world. But if you want to be eased into that, if you don't want to just jump into the deep end, then you want to start with something like the Braton, and this would be it. You also got the MK1 Braton, and you might notice that mine has been formatted 5 times. That is the process of upgrading weapons in Warframe, and I only did that to prove a point. I only did that to prove that even the weakest of weapons can actually do the hardest of content in Warframe. And spoiler alert, yes, it kind of does if you have a whole lot of patience, that is. When it comes to the Braton, obviously the normal version will be a bit more powerful, and this is a very iconic weapon in Warframe. It's a fantastic weapon for a introductory level setup. Yes, if you're new to Warframe, look no further than the Braton for the standard assault rifle experience. Later down the line, you will have the Braton Vandal. You should know that weapons in Warframe, some of them have Vandal variants that are more powerful than their standard version. This one even has a Prime variant. You can see the look of this one has also changed. You can also apply skins. And out of the bunch, the most powerful, and I'm sorry Vandal fans, the most powerful is the Braton Prime. And I'm curious exactly how will this one work? How will the Incarnate adapter realistically evolve the weapon? Will we essentially just get the upgrades or not? Because we do have a list of upgrades which I'm going to be sharing with you right about now. Unfortunately, we don't have the alleged leaked talents for the Braton, but we do have them for the Boltor, for the Burston, for the Dread, for the Latron, and so on and so forth. So let's talk about the Dread. Now, the Dread is a traditional style bow in Warframe. The Dread is an amazing weapon that you get from the Stalker. It has one issue and one issue only. It is a single target weapon. If you don't enjoy single target weapons, you're not going to be having a whole lot of fun with this one. But if you enjoy the perfect shot, that perfect headshot that absolutely annihilates the target, targets with a whole lot of slash procs and you like red numbers on your screen, the Dread is gonna be the way to go. And if you wanna see a full detailed build guide on how to build the Dread, what mods to use and what not to use, there's gonna be a link in the cards right now. I also got one for the Braton if you're more interested in that as well. 2023 versions updated and all whatnot. But now let's get back to the talents and let's talk a bit more about how a Incarnate Dread would look like. Increases damage and projectile size? Projectile size. Now that's a biggie because if you get a bigger projectile, that should mean in theory that you're gonna be able to get headshots easier, and this being a critical weapon, you need to go for headshots. There's no buts about it. This is not a body shot type of weapon. Arrows can be directed like the Tenant Envoy's shots while invisible. Wow. So if you don't know, the Tenant Envoy is, I think, the only weapon in Warframe that has a manual homing system. You got weapons that aim by themselves, but the Envoy, as far as I remember, is the only one that you legitimately keep your right click pressed down and you guide the rocket to said target, which is a... Hey, listen, it's a cool little system to use in open worlds, which we will be playing a whole lot in open worlds because we're gonna get Duviri, but in tight corridors it's not exactly something you will be using. It doesn't need to take away anything from the weapon itself, it's just a different way of using it in open environments versus closed corridors. So there you go, you're gonna be able to aim your Dread projectiles while invisible. That is keyword there. Fantastic, love that. Next up, we got another fantastic talent, and this one increases the fire rate and punch through by X for each nearby enemy. That is kinda interesting. So if you're in the middle of enemies, you're gonna be getting yourself this boost so you can take them out faster. To a max of Y, gain Z ammo efficiency while shields are not at maximum or no shields. A pretty interesting talent again for the Dread, and these two were the first tier talents, so obviously you're gonna have to choose between them. If you're not familiar with Incarnon weapons or evolving weapons, you gotta choose one, you can't has both. At tier 2 you get projectile speed. Now this is definitely something fantastic, but you can also use your excellent slot for this one. It will depend on how much projectile flight speed and if you can skip this talent by using a mod, and lower FOV. Lower FOV, lower field of view. So essentially it makes things like this. I play with maximum FOV because that's the way I enjoy it, but if you get seasick or if you get motion sickness, that is, sorry, not seasickness, motion sickness, you should lower the field of view. This will have to be tested to see how it actually plays in gameplay. Normally when you right click you go in aim closer, yes, and that should make it and does make it easier to get precise headshots. Maybe with this low FOV we get to transform the Dread in what it actually is, and that is a sniper rifle. That would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool, especially considering we don't need a projectile flight speed because on this tier we can replace it with a mod. You got one more option at tier 2, the C option, ammo capacity. I never get excited when I see things like this. Recently, Digital Extremes has decided to balance certain weapons after ammunition. I believe it's a terrible design idea simply because it's unfun. If it's unfun, please don't do it. Do not balance in a spacey, futuristic, fantasy PvE game after ammo. This is not a competitive shooter. I am not liking the direction they're taking with this, so I do not get all giddy about talents such as this one. Tier 3, the final tier and the most powerful tier. What we got? With Despair and Hate equipped. Oh, what? So, guys, Despair and Hate are the other Stalker weapons, if you got all of them. Despair is the secondary weapon, and Hate is the Sight, a fantastic melee weapon. So, apparently, we're gonna get a bonus if we use all of these. Increase fire rate and damage per hit, stacks of 5 times, resets on miss. Ooh, that should be interesting. So, here's the thing, you get to have an actual full Stalker loadout. Not only that, but you guys do know we were probably going to be able to play the Stalker. They showed that on the dev stream that the Stalker was available there as a quote-unquote Warframe, so I cannot wait to try that. Maybe we can play as the Stalker with the Stalker loadout and you get this fantastic bonus. We're gonna have to see exactly how powerful this is, but damn it, I love it because it's so freaking thematic that it is the first option at tier 3. Next up, we got High Status Chance. Again, not some. This is like a fun talent. This is a cool, quirky, gimmicky, lore-y, thematic fun. This, not so much. And the last option on hit through geometry, increase critical damage for X seconds on hit through geometry. I do not know what this means. Maybe, no, because if it was on headshot, then it would say on headshot. On hit through geometry. Maybe some kind of punch through effect. Critical damage for the Dread is definitely fantastic because it has a really high base. Critical chance, I believe, is 50% by default, and you can get easily red crits out of this weapon by modding it correctly. Yes, you got a full and detailed build guide on that one from yours truly. And critical damage will definitely matter a whole lot, so I'm assuming this might be the quote-unquote meta talent, but this is what I want to try out. This sounds absolutely freaking insane. Now, the Burston and the Latron are weapons that people don't use anymore in this game. I love them, I still use them, both of them, but they're not really all that fantastic. Hopefully this will be a way to revitalize such weapons. Let's take a look at the Burston first. Tier 1, first option, you got X multi-shot for last burst in mag. Oh, the last burst. Okay, last burst. Yes, burst. You guys know burst. Last burst in mag. Okay, I get this one. I definitely get this one because the Burston Prime, well, has a burst trigger. So for the last burst in the mag, you're gonna have extra multi-shot. But if it's gonna be the last burst in the magazine, then we're gonna need a whole lot to actually make this one count. And perhaps we can play with minus magazine capacity to keep this one up entirely. So just burst all the time with this one on. It can be a thing. We're gonna have to test this one out. Punch through with armor above X. Punch through with armor above X. So the way I'm reading this one, the way it might be, if the enemy has a certain threshold of armor, so like a lot of armor, it's just gonna punch through that armor in the sense that maybe ignore it, maybe true damage, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. Clip size, that is of course not fun. Reload on empty increases reload speed. Again, not very fun. Recoil on this one, tier 3. Let's see the good ones, quote unquote good ones. Damage increased by X% for each full burst that hits, resets on reload. Cool. That might be something, yeah? If essentially this one will encourage you to not miss your target. Damage increased by X% for each full burst that hits. So you're gonna have to hit all the bullets. It's gonna be funny to see how this one works with multi-shot though. So if you miss a single bullet from your multi-shot spread, you're gonna reset this one. We're gonna have to test and see. Obviously, you're gonna need a whole lot of minus recoil in the XL slot so you actually can handle the weapon properly. It doesn't have a humongous amount of recoil, but it still definitely has some. High critical chance and damage per status on target. Damage per status on target. Well, this awfully sounds like condition overload, and we also got galvanized aptitude for primary weapons. Yes, that basically does this damage per status on the target, so it's going to be interesting to see how this one will stack with galvanized aptitude. Will it stack additively, multiplicatively? Will it not stack? Should we use this talent and not use that mod? Because that would make room for more stuff. We are getting to the point with our weapon builds that we do not have enough room to put all that is cool on it, especially if a weapon, let's say the Grokata for example, has a cool augment. Yes, that one has Wild Frenzy that you can make it work with a very specific setup. You should check out that guide. But we don't have room enough to actually use everything we would want to use. So it could work in that direction. I'm just guessing at this point. The Boltor. You guys use the Boltor? I just did a full and detailed guide on the Boltor Prime. It spikes enemies. It's still a fantastic weapon. Let's see what they're going to be doing with it. Damage, increase accuracy, and punch through with an active non-channel buff from a Warframe ability. Non-channel buff from a Warframe ability. Okay, that's rather interesting. They were awfully specific about this one. You gotta bear in mind these are placeholders, so that's why some of them read a little bit funny. Damage ammo efficiency on kill for X seconds stacks up to Y. Pretty simple, clear, and to the point. You're gonna have to keep an eye on your buff bar. The buff bar is still something in Warframe that is not overly obvious. I still believe it should be moved closer to the player's eyes, as in somewhere in the lower left side of the screens, perhaps somewhere near the chat, because it's not really all that visible in the top right hand side of the screen, especially not when you got a lot of targets on your screen and you're realistically trying to kill them. Projectile speed for the Boltor is definitely not a bad idea, but again you can use the XL slot for this one. Magazine size, I don't know, clip size they call it here. Unfun. Again, reload speed, high status chance, these are standard across the board. Balanced crit and status chance. This is tier 3, balance, crit, and status chance. This might be one of those, I'll give you some crit, but take away some of your status. When it comes to the Boltor, here's the thing. The Boltor Prime is a status weapon. The Telos Boltor is a crit weapon. The two are somewhat evenly matched, but because of the meta and the advantage of the Syndicate proc, I would put the Telos over the Prime, even though the Prime looks a whole lot better. and high crit chance on the last one. It will be interesting to see if these are additive after or not, because if you take a weapon that has everything but doesn't have crit and you give it crit, then you make it a monstrous weapon. Vice versa for the status chance. In Warframe, what we are after normally is to give all the weapons as many, if not all, the damage multipliers that we can to make them absolute beast modes. That's how you try to make a weapon as powerful as you can. The Latron. On Pierce proc, X multi-shot for Y, second stacks up 3 times. On Pierce proc. On Pierce proc. What is Ooh. Okay, here's the thing. If these are translated, because I didn't read this, see if they're translated, Pierce might mean puncture. And if Pierce doesn't mean puncture, I guess there is a slight possibility that they're working on a new type of proc. Pierce proc could be puncture proc, yeah. So X multi-shot for Y. Multi-shot is the best thing on everything. Definitely this will be powerful, no questions about it, but of course it will depend on the actual amount. With move speed 1.2 or higher, X damage on enemies closer than 20 meters. That's pretty cool. I like that. With movement speed greater than 1.2. So if you pick up a low key, maybe put a faster movement speed on your Warframe, you'll have no problem with this. If you got a Gauss, you got no problem with this. If you got a Volt, you got no problem with this. This is kind of cool. I like the idea that they are promoting here. They are promoting run and gun. Fast, destroy, keep on moving. I like this one. Recoil reduction is good. Again, you can excel a slot for this one. Magazine size is reduce FLV again. This option again. I'm assuming it's some kind of zoom in. I'm assuming, because this, again, it's the Latron. The Latron is shot by shot, just like the Dread is. Yes, boom, 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 precise headshots. That's the way you gotta play with it to get the most out of the weapon. So I'm assuming this reduced FOV, we're seeing it again, just like we saw it on the Dread, is probably something like a sniper mode. You get what I'm saying? It's interesting. I need to test to see if this one legitimately feels good in gameplay or not. On hits, trim 10% armor for every stack of Pierce. Pierce again, huh? This Pierce guy. This is interesting. 10% armor for every stack. Every stack of something. Okay, let's just call it every stack of something. Or perhaps Pierce will be something individual to the incarnate form of the Latron. Yeah? This is also a possibility. When you make it incarnate for the Adapter, maybe it gains some sort of passive ability and it has like this Pierce thing. But 10% on a single proc, Warframe, we can like add a whole lot of procs really quickly, man. We can get 10 to 100% armor strip, and that would be fantastic. The only question is, how do we make that area of effect? Headshot damage is always good, especially for people that can aim, and if you cannot aim, you should not be using a weapon such as the Latron or the Dread. Crit chance and damage on the last tier. This one is in... I'm curious about this one. I mean, critical chance and damage, sure. Headshot damage, sure. But this is actually quite cool. I want to see how this one works. Fantastic. You also got the Paris, the Miter, the Soma. I recently updated the Soma Prime. Even in by today's standards, it's still a fantastic weapon. Let's have a quick look on this one. Punch through with armor above X. Again, the same talent like we saw on the Latron there. On kill by slash, damage tick at overshields. Ooh, nice synergy. Especially, and we got a lot of synergies when we get overshields as well. This would be cool on something like Hildy, yes? This is cool, I like that. Kill by slash tick, because that's how you play with the Soma Prime Vital Slash. And if you don't know the full and detailed 2023 update guide, link in the cards right now. This is cool, I like this, and it's a tier 1. Tier 2 brings recoil, accuracy, and reload speed. Again, usability, depending on what you choose here, you can choose your excellent slot for something else. So for example, you can take here accuracy and mod for recoil, something like that. But reload speed normally is the type of mod that goes into your primaries, yes? Not into your excellence. You don't have reload speed excellences. So what I would do probably here from a usability standpoint, take the reload speed, even though on the Soma you got like a 200 magazine and a 3-second reload. So normally you don't really prioritize reload speed, but you can take reload speed here and mod for recoil in the excellent slot, so you get 2 usability upgrades. Tier 3, reload from empty, increased damage, stacks up 3 times. Fantastic. You know why it's fantastic? Because it doesn't say for X seconds or something of the sort, so you're going to have plenty of time to do that. Also keep in mind that the Soma has another buff that is dependent on how much you hit your targets. It's the Hatasatia from Father, yeah? So that one, the more you hit a target, the more critical chance you get. Arguably, you can use that mod alone for critical chance and skip point strike or critical delay. High status chance and critical damage. High status chance, but critical damage, yes. So this is definitely a thing. This is definitely a thing. On the other hand, the problem with the Soma, if it has a problem, which I don't think it does, is the low base damage. Low base damage means that no matter how much damage I keep throwing and throwing and throwing at her, that critical damage multiplier, no matter how high I get it, is not really gonna mean all that much to begin with, yes? So this reload from empty might be cool. Because it says increases damage, it doesn't give me a percentage, so if it gives me a flat amount of damage, considering that my base damage is low, this might actually be pretty freaking cool. I love that. Okay, nice. I love to see that. Strun, you guys use the Strun, you got the Strun Prime, and the Strun Wraith. Was it a Wraith? Wait, what was the last version of the Strun? There's the red one. I forgot, I haven't played with it in such a long time, and this used to be, yeah, Strun Wraith. Guys, once upon a time, this weapon was absolutely insanity. It was a Wraith that could essentially dominate and destroy everything. It still works fine today, but you got a Prime variant to look forward nowadays. So let's see what that one does. And I'm assuming again this will apply to the normal variants of the weapon. I don't think it will apply to primes and all whatnot. Punch through with every Y overshields. Okay, so if you get overshields, if you're using a Warframe that plays into that, that's gonna get you punch through. Punch through is good as long as you are consistently able to clump up enemies together. For example, use a Vauban or a Knight, some sort of clump up ability, yes, or from the, you get one from the helmet system, yes, maybe Kora's thing, and you clump them up together, punch through, punch through, punch through. You make your weapon from single target to multi-target, because you can hardly call it area of effect. Multi-shot increase with lower shields. So the lower your shield gets, the more pellets you're spitting out. Multi-shot has a massive effect on pellets-based weapons because by default they have a whole lot. Yes, you're not just firing a bullet, you're firing 6, 7, 10 pellets. I forgot how much the Strun has by default. Let's have a quick look at that because again, multi-shot on weapons such as this is absolutely fantastic. I'm looking at the Wraith. The Wraith has a 10. You see that? By default that's a 10. Let me look at the Prime really quick. We should also look at the standard version of the Strun. Oh, there's an MK1 Strun. I had no idea. So the multi-shot is... Are you serious? Look at this, guys. The regular version, the Strun, has 12 pellets by default. And the MK1, just out of curiosity, the MK1 has 10. And the Prime? The Prime went back up to 12. Alright, so there you go. The standard version of the Strun, and I'm assuming this is going to be the Incarnon Adapter 4. This takes it to 12, and that is absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait to see how this one will work. Yes, I'm a gun nut in Warframe. This is what I like the absolute most. And the reason why I haven't tackled this list up until this point is because it's just speculation, okay? It can be a legitimate leak, or it can be fake. I don't know, but I am excited. That is definitely true. Where was I? Yeah. Reload speed, fine. Reload speed is good because the Strun has a shot by shot kind of reload. You go shell by shell, and that to some players is fantastic and to some players is bloody annoying. For example, there was kind of a little uproar when they released the, what's it called, Prime, that awesome shotgun Prime. Current, that's it. When they released the Current Prime, it no longer has a shell by shell reload. It reloads the entire magazine, and some players simply didn't enjoy that, especially if they were hardcore players, hardcore fans of that specific weapon. So there you go. Range. Okay, so the fall off on this, I'm assuming they mean fall off. Normally when it comes to these weapons, the fall off is not all that fantastic, but excuse me, it's a shotgun, it's not supposed to. Yeah, let's see now. The fall off on this one is between 26 and 52 meters. We're talking about the Prime version, but the regular fall off, no, it's the same. 26, no, 12, oh, okay, so 12 meters, 12 to 25, that is a whole lot worse. Normally when it comes to these weapons, if you put projectile flight speed in the excellent slot, you get to increase that fall off, even if the weapon is hit scan like it is in this case. But 12 meters is fine, I feel. Here's the thing, it is a shotgun, it is meant to be played up close and personal. If you do not enjoy that kind of gameplay style, there are tons upon tons of Warframe rifles you can enjoy. Next one at tier 2, you got on hit, electrified enemy. On hit, electrified enemy, chance to restore round in clip. Ooh, this is abusable. Ooh, this is abusable. Nice. So essentially, you either get your electricity procs from the weapon, you build it for electricity, which is something we don't normally do, or you use an outside source to constantly apply electricity procs to your target, and you keep on firing because if it restores directly to the clip, then you can keep on shooting. The shooting never stops. That's how this one reads, as long as you have a steady stream of electricity on the target. And it's not even a percent chance. Look at that, it's on hit, so you get it. This looks really juicy. I love this one. Multi-shot per enemy within XM, and Max Y, multi-shot per enemy within X meters. Okay, so if you get a whole lot of enemies around you, we saw this talent before, you're going to be getting yourself more multi-shot. This is to help you clear them out faster. So the more you are swarmed, for example, like the infested, the more you're going to be able to kill them faster. This would have been, I mean, multi-shot is a good idea, but also some additional ammunition in the clip or faster fire rate might also be good, especially considering we're talking about the Strun, yes? On hitting 3 enemies at once, ammo efficiency for X seconds. How do you hit 3 enemies at once? Simple, punch through. Okay, so punch through, hit multiple enemies, get them clumped up, like I said before, with something like Kora's ability, and you keep on firing, because you get ammo efficiency. Maybe you even got some electric procs on them, and you never stop firing. The firing never stops. This reads so beautifully. I really hope these are true, and they work the way I think that they do. And the final one, balance crit and status chance, like we saw this one before. I suspect this is plus crit minus status, or vice versa, or something of the sort. Now, my friends, I can keep on going and going with this, but it's already been like almost 30 minutes, so we're gonna call it a day. What can I tell you? I am excited. I'm definitely excited, and I hope this is true, because you see, these are some really old weapons that most players don't use anymore. The Miter. I mean, the Miter has an augment that you can use and pop bubbles. From what I remember, it's the only reason to be using this one. Yeah, that's it. Neutralizing Justice. Now, this is actually part of a meta for certain Warframe builds and loadouts, especially if you're afraid of nullifier bubbles. You take yourself the Miter, you put Neutralizing Justice on, and you're good to go. But seeing an Arcane adapter for him, it is my hope that these old, really cool and really flavorful weapons will come back into the meta. Or if not meta, then at least how about relevancy? The Paris, again, Paris is a fantastic weapon. It's a bow. You play it in a similar style that you play the Dread, which is why I skipped it. The Soma, the Strun, the Torrid, and I still haven't remembered the Torrid. I will refresh my mind on the Torrid, I promise. As for secondary weapons, well, when it comes to secondary weapons in Warframe right now, they are really not played, except the ones that can apply a whole lot of statuses, and they're played as a primer. Something like the Cyclone or the Kuvanukor are still being played for both damage and primer for condition overload. Bronco Despair Dual Toxosis. Dual Toxosis, you know how much fun these pistols are? They're amazing, and when you get a headshot, they transform really cool. Man, I would love to see these come back. The Furis. Furis, eh? Here's the thing. Oh, the Furis, not a Furis. So the one gun. That's it, the single pistol. Because you got the A Furis, and you got the Dex Furis, and you got the A Furis Prime. So just for the Furis. The regular Furis, which was never, ever a great weapon. Perhaps this will change that. The Cool Star. Oh my god, this is like a one-handed rocket launcher. This is like a one-handed rocket launcher. I don't remember it ever being meta. It's cool, it's quirky, it's Grenier, so it explodes. And it's kind of iffy, but this should be quite interesting. The kunai, basically you just got a set of kunai now for free using the codes. I hope you do you guys use the codes? You didn't use the code? For fuck's sake. You link the cards right now, use the codes. With Duviri and the stuff. Yeah, so kunai, Leto again, it is a weapon that hasn't really been all that meta. There is a Leto Prime, but we do not have access to it. That is a Founder's weapon. There is a Leto Vandal that I built once upon a time. It was never really all that powerful. Hopefully this one will be. The Lex. Oh my god. The Lex is the Deagle experience in Warframe. I love this secondary weapon. It goes poof, poof, poof. Like if you play Counter-Strike, right? And you go for the Deagle, because you know, one shot kill and all what. This is the Lex, yeah? But the truth be told, it does need a bit more humph to become a bit more relevant. Why not the Lex, D? Come on, you got 2 Lexes, and then it's even more cooler, and you get to live out your gangster fantasy and all that. Vasto! No, I haven't played with this one in forever. There's also an Vasto. You know what they have in common? The Vasto and the Vasto, not just the name and the look. I haven't played with them in forever because, again, they're not really all that relevant. And the Zylok we already talked about. And a bunch of meaties are good. Anyway, you just press E to win. I'm sorry. I know you guys love meaty, but I'm not a big fan. But I think that's enough of my bias for one day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. You can also catch me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.